Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick, aka That Music Junkie, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is a series of videos I started where I discuss the albums that I listened to in junior high and high school that kind of led to me being the versed music junkie that you see before you today. I've had a lot of fun making this series. The nostalgia trip, walking down memory lane it's been something. It's been really enjoyable. Today I wanted to talk to you about one of the biggest influences on me during this time period in my life, and that is Relient K. Two lefts don't make a right, but three do. Fitting right in with the pop punk bands that have titles that are just absurdly long shtick that we saw in the early 2000s. Looking at you, Fall Out Boy. As I mentioned in a previous video, growing up, I grew up in a relatively strict Christian household. So music-wise, I was kind of limited on what I was allowed to listen to. Wink. So one day I was in the Christian bookstore that I frequented at the time, and I was in the music section, the only section I ever went into, and I remember this album cover caught my eye. This album actually has 4 different variations for the cover artwork. All of them are white with a secondary pastel primary color. Not primary color, but the second main color on it is a pastel shade. Pink, yellow, green, and blue, I believe, are all of them. All of which depict drawings of some type of vehicle wreckage. I think that's what caught my eye because it wasn't like anything else that was on the shelves. I ended up going with the blue one, which depicts a group of cars in a wrecking yard being lifted by the magnet. I don't know why. I'll tell you why. I wanted to get the green one, which had a VW a VW van crushed by a tree, I think it was. That's one of the variations, but they were sold out of that one, and I didn't find out about it till afterwards. So the blue one was the only one they had. In my teenage years, my dad particularly became a lot more strict with what I was allowed to listen to. For some reason, I don't really know why. He got a lot more strict about things. Maybe it's because I was a teenager. I don't know. I think I was a pretty good kid overall. I didn't get in too much trouble. But so only being allowed to listen to and buy music and albums by Christian bands, I did toe that line a lot. Pushed that envelope. I went on to buy albums like Far From Nowhere by Slick Shoes. I think I have a couple of MXPX records in there, which both of those bands technically are Christian bands, but both bands are pretty punk. So those were my go-tos. That was me pushing it. Now, I did eventually start buying and hiding music, and I discovered LimeWire, which let me download music and probably do irreparable damage to my computer, but I'm not condoning downloading music or pirating music, however you want to say it, but I did it a lot in high school. I did go on to buy these albums, both CD and vinyl format, which I actually talk about. I've started up a video, my most recent video, which you should check out. I talk about 10 albums that should be in your collection, and yes, all 10 of those albums I own physical copies of, be it CD or vinyl, and in one case cassette. just saying. Two Lefts Don't Make a Right, but Three Do is the third studio album from Relient K. And it was also my introduction to the band, because prior to this, I hadn't heard them. I picked it up on a whim. Like I mentioned in a previous video, that particular bookstore had this really cool like listening nook. So I picked the CD off the shelf, and I went back and I listened to it, and it was like, yeah, I gotta have it. The first track is Chapstick, Chap Lips, and Things Like Chemistry. Again, going with that absurdly long title shtick. And just from the opening guitar, I was hooked. The music video I ended up seeing later on is hilarious, because they're in the band are like caretakers in a retirement home, and all of the elderly people are like very rebellious, and it's pretty entertaining. This album started my love for the band, which lasted a long time. It lasted several years, and subsequently my two best friends also were super into Relient K. We listened to, of course, I got their back catalog, 2 other albums, and then going forward, whenever they would release a CD, I would get them, and we would just listen to them all the time. Like, I don't even know if my copies actually work anymore because of how much I listen to them. But it was just so much fun. You know, it's just fun, upbeat, not too serious pop punk, essentially is what it is. Pop punk with like Christian overtones, but enjoyable nonetheless. That doesn't detract from it in any way. In fact, Relient K, my love for Relient K is actually what led me to meet my high school girlfriend, because she also liked Relient K, and we were coming back from, I want to say we had done some type of outing, and it was, I don't remember if it was school. I don't think it was for school. I think it was for the youth group that I had to attend in high school, for the church that my parents went to. They would do outings every now and then, and one of them we went to a roller rink, I believe it was. And of course, I just hung out with all my guy friends, and we, just did stupid teenage boy stuff, like like ramming full speed into the little barrier, like going, like skating as fast as we can and ramming full speed into the barriers to see if we could flip over. We could. And we had come back, like we did that. I didn't meet her there. We did that thing. We were there for like a couple hours, and we went back to the church so the parents could pick everybody up. And I don't remember the circumstance or why we did this, but we were probably just because we were such big fans of Relient K at the time. We were like messing around and like saying a lot of the lyrics. And this album, I think it's this album in particular, and the one before it, they always did like silly little bonus tracks they were just nonsensical, but they were fun. They were like talking about Skittles and combos, and I think that's what we mentioned, Skittles and combos or something like that. And she had piped up like behind, like we weren't talking to her. I didn't even know she was there, and like we just hear from behind us something about one of the lines in the song is like, "But we really like those silly shoes," and I believe it's referring to Chuck Taylor's. Regardless, so she had said that line. We both looked, we all looked around. We're like, "Hey, Relient K too," and that was a long, boring story. Just to tell you that that's how I met my high school girlfriend. Oh boy. Anyway, upon preparing to film this video and writing the loose script that I'm going off of, I revisited this album, and I hadn't listened to this, I swear, in at least a decade, at least. But upon hearing it, I was just hit with a figurative tidal wave of just nostalgia and memories from that time period in my life. more so than any other album I've talked about so far, because I listened to this one just so much, and I found still knew a lot of the words to almost all the songs. Some of them I even like just quoted verbatim. I was singing right along, and like I said, I hadn't listened to this album or any Relient K in years, since before my son was born, and my son is going to be 9 soon. So it was just, I found myself smiling, and I was reminiscing with my brother about this very thing. And he made the remark about how, when we're younger, we liked all the faster, kind of more upbeat songs, like the aforementioned Chapstick Chaplips and things like Chemistry and Mood Rings and stuff like that. But there's a song on there, even though we liked it at the time, called Jefferson Airplane. We liked it, but it's one of the more kind of like chill, relaxed songs. So we're like, no, we want the faster ones. But fast forward, now that I'm in my early 30s, this is like my favorite song on the whole album. It's funny how my brother and I were talking about this. It's like, that's how you just vibe with that one a little bit more now that we're older. It's funny how life works. But honestly, the nostalgia and the memories and everything that came flooding back just immediately upon the first chord is one of the things that I love so much about music. And it's one of the things that drove me to creating That Music Junkie, launching my website and launching this YouTube channel and talking about this and sharing these stories with you guys right now. I love it so much because it has such a strong ability to do that. And like I said, I'm singing along with songs I hadn't listened to in years, and it's just so cool. And I can only imagine, like I mentioned, I'm in my early 30s. I can only imagine what older people experience, like the people that grew up like in the 70s and were around with like Queen and Led Zeppelin and all this, like, were there to see those bands. I can only imagine, the nostalgia that is evoked when they hear those songs. But then again, those songs are so intertwined in pop culture here in America that maybe it's not as strong because you hear them all the time. But I digress. I lost interest in Relient K circa 2009, 2008. Because they actually went on a hiatus after that. They released a compilation album called The Birds and the B-Sides, which has a couple B-sides on it. It has a couple like acoustic covers. There's an acoustic version of Jefferson Airplane on it, which is amazing. But they went on hiatus for like 5 years, and during that time I just like kind of forgot about them, so to say. They've released 3 albums since that time. One in 2013, one in 2016. More recently, a live album in 2020. I haven't listened to them, and I don't know if I will. Maybe I will. I don't know. Who knows? I might love it. But I will say this. Relient K, and this is going to be a hot take, but Relient K has the best Christmas album ever. They do. It's called, what is it called? It's called Let It Snow, Babe, Let It Rain, Dear. And it's just so good. Like, it's just a bunch of, covers of like solid Christmas songs. And there's originals on there too. But it's so good, front to back. Really good. Best Christmas album. I stand by it. This video might be a little bit on the shorter side compared to the other ones, but I think it's appropriate. And I say that because pop punk is short, sweet, to the point, so why not make a video that's short, sweet, to the point? I could go in on, the production value and the mix and all that stuff. It came out on Tooth and Nail Records back in 2003. No, sorry, it came out on Goatee Records in 2003. which is 19 years ago. But it's so fun to listen to that album, and even though, you know, even if Christian overtones isn't your deal, I still would recommend checking it out. At least give it one listen through, because it's fun. There's a song on there called Mood Rings. It's the second song on the album. It's fun, and it worked at the time. Again, 2003. I don't know if you can make that song now, because it's about the... Oh, how do I put this tactfully? It's about the perceived emotional roller coaster that females go through. And I don't mean to offend any female female viewers. I'm just trying to kind of relay what the song is about. And it's a fun song, it's upbeat, it's supposed to be funny, but in this day and age, I don't know if it's one you can necessarily make. And now maybe I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I don't know. It seemed like the safer bet would probably not make that song. It's fun though. It's funny. One of the lines in it is the complex infrastructure known as the female mind. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm having so much fun making these videos. If you haven't already, go watch the other ones that I've posted. It's been a lot of fun talking about them. It's been a lot of fun talking about this one, and I can't wait to kind of keep it going. And if you like these videos, please, if you're new to the channel, do all the things. Hit the little thumbs up icon and give me a like. Drop a comment below if you've listened to this album, or if you disagree with my take on the Christmas album. I would love to hear your feedback. If you want to see more of these, check out my other videos. You can also watch my 10 albums to have in your collection video. That was a lot of fun and very daunting to make, mind you. But again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.